Well, good morning. This is Pastor Marvin Osborne, First Baptist Church of Birmingham, Ohio, and I hope you're well today. We've been looking at First Peter chapter 5, and throughout this chapter, we've been talking about the roles of the pastor, his motivations, what they should be, what his role is in the church. He should feed the flock. Motivation shouldn't be money. He should be there to humble himself to be an example to the flock so that as he lives and strives to walk with God, that they have a model wherein they should follow. And then we talked about the role of the congregant or the member there within that church, and to submit themselves to the spiritual authority of the elder that God has placed in there, submit themselves to the Word of God. He says not to lord ourselves over one another, but we are to be examples um, for one another, and examples of humility and to serving and to loving and to caring for one another. He said here that yea, all of you should be subject to one another and be clothed with humility. For God resisteth the proud and giveth grace unto the humble. And it goes on to say in verse 6, humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of God, that he may exalt you in due time. And then verse 7 it says, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. And so he's addressed in this chapter, he's talked to that of the role of the pastor, he's talked about the role of the congregant, that both of us have, all of us have a responsibility. The pastor has a responsibility to live in such a way that he's an example to the flock. The flock has a responsibility to be an example to one another, to submit to the spiritual authority. The pastor's not to be lording his position over other people, and he's not to be motivated by money, and um, and the congregation's not to be so prideful that they begin to look down on one another. He says that idea of to humble ourselves in the sight of the Lord, and he will lift us up. He will lift us up in due time, he says. And then he goes on to say, and this is how we are to remember this. He says, casting all your care upon him, for he careth for you. God cares for you. This world says you need to exalt yourself. You need pride in yourself. You need to embellish your resume. You need to flaunt your goodness and your education and your this and your that, and all your qualifications, and be sure to push it out there so other people can admire what a great man you are, and it's beneath you to try to help another person. It's beneath you to uh, to uh, to